do this. Nope. Why is this not? Okay. I have tried to do this video a few times. Remi has spit up on me. She is also like in and out of a nap. She took like a very small nap. Like she usually does like 2 hours in the morning, and today she did like a 30-minute nap, which she was up a lot last night. We cooked dinner and had like a fun like family pasta night, and she just wanted to be a part of it. Like you can tell she like has FOMO like no other, like wants to be included, wants to be held. She giggles and laughs and she's having a fun time, and then as soon as that energy is out, like her social battery is totally drained, she freaks out, screams, cries for hours until she's put down. I know it's like a wake window, but I just like to think of it as like FOMO. Okay, hi Bun Bun, or hi Remi, formerly known as Bun Bun. I've only been able to do one of these videos, so this is my second one that I wanted to make for you, and it's your birth story, because it was, I read every single book that people recommended. I read books that people didn't recommend. I did so much research. I feel like I did a lot to prepare for labor, to prepare for you to come into the world, and everything went the complete opposite way. The one thing that I will say I did not prepare for was a C-section, which I obviously had an emergency C-section. I just was like, this is the one thing I know I won't have. She was on track to be 7 pounds, which she was 7 pounds 5 ounces. I'm like going in and out of like who I'm talking to. So Remi, you were 7 pounds 5 ounces when you were born, 19 inches long, like a very normal sized baby. And so we're just gonna go. She's like laughing and like dreaming next to me. And now she's up and trying to poop. So basically, original due date was June 13th or 14th. 2 different doctors gave me 2 different dates. And so we passed that, and I was, stop it, 41 weeks pregnant, and they said that they weren't going to let me go, like, you know, any more than that. So I went in on my appointment for my 41-week appointment. It was like a Tuesday, and they said they wouldn't let me go longer than till Saturday. So by Tuesday I was like, I really wanted my doctor to be the one that helped with my labor or whatever, and she was on till Wednesday, and then after that was a different doctor that I had met and I wasn't like as comfortable with, I guess you could say. You're looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm just talking to future you, honestly. You want to be held? Okay, well, I'll hold you up. So we went in on Tuesday, we as in Kyle and I, and honestly we were like kind of talking. I was like, okay, I'm ready to be induced, like what are a few extra days gonna do if you're gonna, and I want you as my doctor, like let's do it. She checked my cervix. I wasn't like close to even going into labor, so she was like, okay, let me call the hospital to see if they have any room for you to come up. And so I was obviously so anxious. I am terrified of going to labor. The cervix, or the dilation check, was not comfortable. I also, like, it just was not comfortable, and I was very scared because I knew, like, giving birth vaginally would be, you know, 10 times that. So I was really scared. I started crying immediately. I was like praying a lot. I was like, God, if this is not, you know, the time to give birth, like let the hospital like not have room for us. I felt like Mary and Joseph, and this is baby Jesus, obviously. The hospital did not have room for us, okay? And the doctor was like, I'll see you later tonight. Like, I know tonight's the night you're gonna go into labor. And I was like, okay. Like, I also feel like that, so we'll probably see you tonight. Kyle and I went out for lunch. I was having contractions really, really far apart, but still contractions. They felt like period cramps. I have endometriosis, or had it. I don't really know how that works. And so my period cramps have always been really bad, where I'm throwing up. I can't move. So these were painful, but like, again, I've had them since I was 13 or whatever. So I wasn't super surprised when, you know, they were happening, right? They were just really spaced out. So we had a normal day. We went home, we watched like a movie, we just chilled. Why are you being so talkative? You want to be in the video too? What's wrong? I think you need to take a nap again, babies. You need to take a nap again? So I went home, watched a movie, kind of like went to sleep and rested because I also had a feeling that I was going to the hospital that night. I had the app that tracked my contractions, and I remember laying in bed just like seeing them go. I think you need to be like 4 or 5 minutes apart before you go to the hospital, or that's when you should start heading to the hospital. So I was like in a lot of pain. I was tracking them, and I like woke Kyle up. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. He was like, "Let's go, mama." It was like the funniest thing. We got in the car. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, 12:30 in the morning. I don't know. It was late and it was dark. And I was just in a lot of pain. Like every bump that we went over hurt my stomach and my everything. We got to the hospital. I went to a room where they checked your dilation again. Not fun. It wasn't even, I think I was maybe at 3 centimeters. So again, not ready, but they were like, "You're here. You're past your due date. Like, do you want to be induced?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I kind of like naturally started dilating anyways, which was interesting. So I don't remember if I was induced or not. I threw up a ton. It was awful because they put all these like IVs in you, like with liquids and other things, and you like taste them and smell them. Are you licking mommy's shoulder? Thank you. And I just threw up a ton, which Kyle was very, very sweet because he held the little bucket for me. I think I ate Panda Express, and he was like, "You're an asshole." Like, watching you throw up Panda Express was disgusting. I'm so happy that's what you wanted before you went into labor. Sorry. So I threw up a ton. It was awful. I think I was screaming the entire time, which I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but this was just like beyond me. And again, I've heard so many women be like, "Oh, I've had such an amazing experience and it didn't hurt at all." Mine hurt, and that's not to say like it'll be, you know, the same for anyone else. It just, this was my experience. I got the epidural. That was amazing. I do have scoliosis, so they had a hard time putting it into my back or spine, wherever it goes, and that was not fun on top of the contractions. But I got it. It was amazing. It felt way better. I could still feel the contractions, but like everything was pretty numb and it felt good. It's funny because I have a Snapchat memory that I saved. I put like, "I'm never having a baby again. This is awful. I've thrown up so many times." And that was at like 6:50, I think. And just around then I was becoming more dilated. I think it was like 7 centimeters. So they're like, "We're gonna have to break your water." So they went to break my water. And after that, this is kind of when I blacked out, but they were like, "The baby's heart rate is dropping." So they kept trying to get me in a different position to like, you know, start this process and like also make sure she was okay. But her heart rate was dropping so significantly. I just remember them being like, "We have to do an emergency C-section on you. Okay, here we go." And I heard Kyle in the background be like, "Can I come with?" And they were like, "No." And that obviously sent me into, obviously I was scared. It's like my person can't be with me when I do this. And it felt like a movie scene. It was like wheeled out. I just had all these lights, all these people were coming over me. I was honestly terrified because emergency C-section, again, this was the one thing I didn't prepare for. I was like, this just won't happen to me, right? And so many people were introducing themselves to me. I was like blacking out. I couldn't breathe at all. And they were like, "You need to breathe." They put oxygen on my face. They're like, "We're gonna do, you know, you have to go under. Like, have you been under before with anesthesia, whatever, you know what I mean?" Obviously I'm like going into, you know, the memory bank down. It's like not triggering, but it's like, it was a lot of, it was really scary. It was just like really white, really clean looking, lots of really bright lights, people with masks coming over your face being like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so, I'm gonna do your surgery." And I was just so scared. One, because I knew her heart rate was dropping. I wanted to make sure she was okay. And two, I was like, am I gonna die? That kind of sucks. Again, lots of prayers were being said. They put a bunch of oxygen on my face, and then all of a sudden I had the mask on with, you know, the stuff that was gonna put me under. And I fell asleep, I guess, because I don't remember anything. And then I woke up, and again, like I said, the Snapchat memory I saved was at 6:50 a.m. and Remi was born at 7:11 a.m. So like this was, I was in surgery for 11 minutes, Kyle said. He said it was the longest 11 minutes of his life, which again, 11's like our special number. So I feel like that's really interesting. Yeah, he said it was the longest 11 minutes of his life. They handed her to me, you know, when I came up for air, when I became more like awake and aware. I don't remember this at all, which is the most like heartbreaking thing for me, because I just imagined like, you know, hearing her first cry and seeing her, and also Kyle cutting the umbilical cord, basically what everyone wants out of their birth story. And I was so out of it because of the stuff, the medication. And Kyle said I started bawling immediately and held her and was just so excited that like she was okay. Oh, she's sleeping now. My sweet girl. And they wheeled us out, or they wheeled me out, I should say, into like the room. My parents were there, Kyle's parents were there. It was like really, really scary, but this was like such a special moment. One, I was like really like so out of it. The pictures that were taken of me, my eyes, like I don't know how anyone looks good after birth, because my eyes were like bags under it. I look like absolute shit. I just remember seeing like my parents' face, like my dad has never looked prouder of me. It was like just so sweet, and it just meant like a lot to me. My mom was obviously so excited. It was just like a really special moment being there with like my daughter, their first granddaughter, Kyle's parents, like their granddaughter. Like it was just really special to be there with like my new little family, and that she was healthy and good. And oh my god, okay, sorry for being emotional. It was just like really special and sweet. And I was so happy that she was okay, and I was okay, obviously, and Kyle was okay. And they actually, I'm sure photos have been uploaded to Facebook and Instagram of her little boo-boo that she got in her face when they were cutting into me. They accidentally cut into her cheek, so she got like a little scratch there, which thank God it was her cheek and not like her eyeball or her lip or something that could have caused like really serious damage. But she had a little like battle wound for a few, probably like a few weeks of her life. My sweet girl. So that was like the whole story. It sucked. It was really, really scary. Honestly, the incision is just for people who are like curious about C-sections, because again, I did no research on this. I figured I would have surpassed that. You know, I was like, there's no way that'll happen to me, and it did. The incision is so low. It's like right up, like it's really not on my stomach at all. So really the only person who will like see it is Kyle. And like if I wore like a very, very, very low swimsuit, which not my style, it's not who I am. And it's like healing really, really nicely. It was really uncomfortable. They make you like stand up like a day after, and you have to pee, and that sucked. And just like walking with it was really painful, but they give you medication. And honestly, it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Like obviously you have a giant incision on your stomach, or like lower stomach, and you know, it takes a lot of ab work to sit up, to walk, to do a lot of things. And it was just, you know, it's different, and it wasn't exactly what I was expecting at all. Like my freezer was packed with the little like padsicles, I think people call them, from Freedom Mom. I was really preparing for a natural regular birth, and I didn't get it, which was fine, because all I wanted was a healthy, happy baby girl, and I got her. So then I think we went home 2 or 3 days later. You get to stay longer with what's wrong, you pooping? You stay longer when you have a C-section, because there's a lot more that they check on you with. Your hair looks so crazy and cute right now. They check on you a lot more. It's just like a little bit of a different healing process, so you stay a little bit longer. But as soon as we were able to get discharged, I was like, let's go home. So we go home she was born on the 21st, which was I think a Wednesday. We went home Friday, and we were home for not even 24 hours, and she like did a little shiver with her lip. I think she was like shivering, which we were like, why is that happening? To be honest, I was like, she's a baby, she's fine, she's just like, you know, using her new muscles and all that stuff. And Kyle was like, no, like this seems really serious, like I'm gonna call my mom, who is just like an absolute saint angel, like knows everything about babies, and ask her like what we should do. And she was like, take that baby to the ER immediately, like something could be wrong, it's better to be safe than sorry. So we rushed back to the hospital on Saturday afternoon, again, not even home for 24 hours with her. And it was, again, another awful experience. They put her under like a heat lamp for the first part to like see if they could like try and warm her up and all that stuff, and like see if it was like hypothermia. That's really common in newborns because they can't regulate their temperatures yet. She wasn't warming up, and I can't remember her temperature because we took it at home and it was low. It was lower than it should have been, and that's why his mom was like, take her to the ER immediately because that's not normal. And then the doctor who was with us was like, and again, I'm not a professional doctor. I don't know any of these things. But this was just like a really weird experience for us. And I'm obviously a little bitter about it. The guy was like, oh, we're going to have to send her to Christ, which is in Oak Lawn, which is kind of far from us. And where they do like a lot more, you know, serious surgeries and stuff, and they were like, we're gonna do a spinal tap on her and all of these like insane things. I'm bawling my eyes out. Of course, this is my brand new girl, like I've had her for 4 days, and they want to do a spinal tap on her and do all this like insane stuff. And Kyle's like, can't you like start somewhere like smaller, like blood work, or like, you know, is there? And he's like, no, and you know, I can do it here. I've had 4 out of 5 success rate. And we were like, that's like not high enough. Like if you miss something, she can be paralyzed. Like they're just like. And we were about to sign this paperwork giving him permission to do it because it's like, what other option? We don't know what's wrong with her. We want her to be okay. And then the guy, a doctor who came down, he was like, I know you. I did your C-section. I was like, oh yeah, like we're back for this reason. And he's like, oh, come on upstairs with me. And he like him and a few other nurses took Remi upstairs to the NICU, and they did the blood work, which we kind of asked that first doctor to do, and they were like, I don't know why he was suggesting a spinal tap. That's kind of insane and also really extreme to start off with that. So that was like really a godsend that they came down right at that moment, because we were like, do we sign this paperwork giving them consent to do this to our daughter? Like, what do? We want her to, you know, we want her to be okay. And so they brought her upstairs. They started blood work, which again was awful. If you don't know, they take the blood from a newborn through their wrist, which is just the saddest thing. Hearing her cry, hearing her scream, it was just like, it was torture. I literally thought I had died during my C-section surgery. Oh. And that was like hell for me, because it was the most terrible thing in the world to hear her crying and screaming. They also do like heel sticks, which is where they take the blood from her heel. And she just had like these little bruises all over her wrists and ankles and her feet. It was just, it was the most terrible thing. We didn't know it was wrong. Kyle and I both say like that first night was awful because there was so much unknown, and like with the way the first guy made it seem, it was like, are we gonna lose our daughter? Like, it was just terrible. We were crying, and I wasn't eating. Like, my parents came up and brought us food, and like it was just, I was like bawling my eyes out, and we couldn't like be with her all the time because she was in, you know, the NICU unit, and they didn't know what was wrong with her. So anyways, they do a blood culture test. You know, it comes back negative. We're so excited. All her tests are coming back positive, or like positive in a good way, not positive for anything bad. They're like, okay, we'll send you home on Wednesday. Again, we went in on Saturday. So Wednesday's still a significant amount of time to be there. And the blood culture tests take a few days for like things to develop on it. So that's why we had to stay a little bit longer. She had an IV in her wrist, which again, like, she's so small. She's like 4 days old. It was just terrible to watch all of this happen. And also to see all the other babies and the families in the NICU unit. Like, it was just like hell. It was fucking hell. Like, I would not wish that upon anybody to have to go through as a baby, as a mom, as a dad, as a grandparent. It was awful. My battery's running out. What else? So then Wednesday something came back positive, like in a not good way, and we had to stay a few more days and give her more antibiotics, and it ended up being a staph infection, which no idea how she got that. Maybe it was from the cut that she had during the C-section. I don't know, but they got it, they flushed it out, and now we have our healthy, beautiful baby girl. And that's the birth story of Miss Remi Marie Snorrick, and she's perfect, and I can't wait to spoil her every single day of her life and do all the fun things and show her all the cool places and eat all the yummy foods and just love her for the rest of our lives. Thanks for listening.